As we all know, Disney films are timeless. Ever since the creation of the Walt Disney Company in the 1920s, their films have continued to inspire and awe us. But sometimes the movies we love were nearly very different due to one deleted scene that could have changed the entire course of the film. In this video, we will look at some of the times where one deleted scene could have completely changed everything we know in the movie, from a beloved hero nearly being a villain to a much darker ending than we expected. We take a dive through the wonderful world of Disney. In 2001, Pixar fans were introduced to the lovable monsters Sully and Mike, professional scarers for Monsters, Inc. The movie was so popular that Pixar released a prequel movie, Monsters University, where we see the best buds meet for the first time. While the movie suggests that this is the first time that they meet, a deleted scene would have changed all of that. In a scene taking place at Frighton Elementary, the two actually meet on the playground as the other kids pick teams for Scareball. In the scene, Mike is eager to play, but isn't picked by the kids, instead opting for the new kid, who, you guessed it, is Sully. But Sully has no interest in joining the team, and Mike calls him out for not knowing the correct scare moves. This causes an argument between the two and initiates a rivalry, which is reflected in Monsters University. If that scene had been left in it, though, this movie would have been entirely different, as they would have had a long-standing rivalry before even being in university together, and this would have completely changed the narrative and the dynamic between the characters. Robin Hood. Disney's 1972 take on the classic tale is a big hit among fans, but initially, the movie had a much darker ending. In the initial ending, Robin Hood escapes miraculously unharmed from a barrage of arrows, but in the alternate ending, one of these arrows actually hits Robin Hood, leaving him severely wounded. He is taken to a church where he's left under the care of Maid Marian, but he is tracked down by Prince John and Hiss, who offer to put Hood out of his misery. But Marian stands her ground until Prince John's brother Richard comes in and deals with his miscreant brother once and for all. But the scene didn't do too well with test audiences, so Disney decided to go with the lighter, happier version that we all know. 2017's Coco is known as one of Pixar's sweetest movies, centering on youngster Miguel, who accidentally gets sent to the land of the dead after pursuing his love of music despite his family banning it. One of the most emotional moments is the reveal that the character of Hector is Miguel's great-great-grandfather and Mama Coco's dad, with her ailing memory the only thing keeping Hector in the land of the dead. But the introduction of Hector was nearly very different. The initial vision was to have Hector as a celebrity bus tour guide in a fun scene that would set up the world of the Land of the Dead, with the premise that Hector would take Miguel to famous musicians and the revealed antagonist Ernesto de la Cruz. The scene is a great moment of comic relief, but would have drastically changed the narrative if they decided to follow the line of the bus tour. Who knows how it could have come out? As family-friendly movies go, Pinocchio definitely blurred the line with what it could and couldn't show, with scenes that included smoking, gambling, and vandalism, to name just a few. But at one point, Disney contemplated going down an even darker path. In one moment, when Geppetto and his cat Figaro find themselves stuck inside the belly of a whale and struggling to survive, they suddenly get a hankering for Geppetto's other pet, his fish Cleo. In the scene, Geppetto fantasizes about eating Cleo in order to survive, as Geppetto and Figaro confer over the bowl menacingly. This is pretty creepy, and by Disney standards, a dark moment in the film. And although Geppetto did decide against eating his Finn friend, the scene was ultimately axed from the movie. Heroine Moana endeared herself to fans with her ambitious and bold approach to life, as well as being a strong, independent woman that people could relate to. But in the original cut of the movie, she had a very different backstory, which would have shaped how good she is at sailing. Initially, Moana had 6 older brothers, and they were the ones who taught her how to sail. In a deleted scene, we see Moana and her brothers engage in a canoe race, with the scene showcasing Moana's sailing prowess and how she manages to outdo her brothers. The brothers were eventually dropped, and Moana was made an only child, and while her skills at sailing aren't as honed as they were in the deleted scene, in the final version of the movie, we see an independent figure who isn't afraid to work by herself. Zootopia was a big hit. In an anthropomorphized world, we see predators and prey now living together in a somewhat level of harmony. But initially, the film had a much darker theme running through it. All predator animals wore shock collars. In order to keep every animal obeying the system, predators were mandated to wear these collars, which would shock them every time they got too excited or upset. In one heartbreaking deleted scene, we can see a young bear cub getting his first ever collar, not understanding the ramifications of wearing it and the suppressed life he would lead. Staff advised that the collars be cut from the final story, and they were thankfully removed and replaced with more subtle means of oppression. While most Pixar movies cater for both younger and older audiences, the Cars series was aimed primarily at a younger audience. In a cutscene from the movie, main protagonist Lightning McQueen gets lost trying to make his way back to the interstate, stumbles upon a car graveyard where rusty vehicles are left to die. In the scene, zombie cars with plants growing out of them reanimate and surround Lightning as he tries to escape, closing in on him in a surprisingly scary moment for a Pixar movie. While older audiences may have not found it horrifying, for a child it could be seen as rather traumatizing. Thankfully, Pixar opted for the scene never to leave the storyboard stage, and lucky for them, Cars has sold more merchandise than any other Pixar movie, so I doubt they have any regrets. If you don't stick the landing, it can go very badly, as you don't want fans to remember a flat ending. This was something that crossed the minds of the makers of The Little Mermaid as well, as they came to their big showdown between Prince Eric and antagonist Ursula. Originally, Ursula's size only grew slightly after acquiring Triton's trident, but the filmmakers thought that this wasn't a big enough ending, worried by the fact that it would make Prince Eric look like a weakling if he struggles to deal with a slightly bigger Ursula. So, to up the stakes, they altered Ursula's size and created her into a massive hulking beast, giving Prince Eric a little bit more to chew on. While in the original cut, Prince Eric strikes her down with the trident. To make the victory look more impressive, Prince Eric impales Ursula with the bow of his ship, because when bigger the villain, the bigger the weapon. As you may know, William Shakespeare's classic play Hamlet is ultimately the source material for Lion King, but Hamlet isn't exactly kid-friendly, so Disney had to tone down the less PG moments of the original story. In one scrap scene, Scar tries to force himself onto Nala and make her his queen while singing a creepy version of Be Prepared. It's enough to make your skin crawl and was thankfully chopped from the movie, but there was also an alternate ending for the movie where Scar defeating Simba in a battle for Pride Rock. But as he revels in his victory, he doesn't notice the fire surrounding him and is consumed by flames. While this is a reflection of the character's hubris, it was a much more violent ending than Disney were prepared for, and instead decided to go with the more subtle notion that he died at the hands of his former loyal hyenas. Woody and Buzz may be known as one of the best friendship duos in the world of Disney, but it wasn't always that way. While they become inseparable throughout the series, the two were bitter rivals at first, with Woody being jealous of the shiny new toy and feeling that he had been replaced in Andy's heart. But in what would have been a darker twist, originally, instead of Buzz being accidentally knocked out of the window by a toy car, he was deliberately pushed by Woody. Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but in the original scene, Woody purposely and forcefully pushes Buzz out of the window as he is jealous that Buzz might be taken to Pizza Planet over him. This is now famously known as the Black Friday reel, as it was shown to Disney execs on Black Friday, but it left them so horrified that the creators had to do some quick rethinking. The reason why Woody might have been so aggressive in this initial reel could be down to the fact that he originally was supposed to be the villain of the movie. That's right, Woody was originally a cruel ventriloquist doll that served as the story's antagonist. We can thank our lucky stars that that never happened. What was your most shocking deleted scene? Were there any that you wish they had kept in, or were you glad that they were lost on the cutting room floor? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content.